Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1209 of our daily content grind, and today I bring you one of the most legendary moments of Transformer history. We're going to be talking about Omni Productions today. Now, it occurs to me that old school fans like me that have been around in the fandom for like 15 plus years, I know full well what Omni is. You know, I have been there. I have heard that. I've regretted it. It has left scars. That said, a lot of you came in during the Bayverse movies. A lot of you came in from Transformers Prime, even the Unicron trilogy. And you who have not dug into the depths of Generation 1's cartoons and animation history may not have ever heard of Omni Productions, so you have no idea what I'm talking about. Others still are wondering why you are looking at the OCP logo right now, and that is because I can't find a logo for Omni Productions. As far as I know, the company might not even exist anymore. We don't know if they've been active or not in the last decade. I don't know. For a company that has been around since the 80s and was producing things into the 2010s, it's amazing to me that I could not find any trace of their current existence, nor could I find any kind of proof that they had a logo of some sort. But they've left an impact on Transformers, and we're here to discuss it today, for better or worse. If you have never heard of this history before, brace yourself. This is gonna be a fun one for you. So let's start with the quick little facts here. So this is a company that was started by a guy named Rick Thomas. So Rick Thomas was a former British Special Forces soldier who settled down in Hong Kong following a tour of Vietnam. So, basically, British guy comes in, settles down in Hong Kong and decides, I'm going to dub anime. The result for a lot of this is hysterical. For instance, you might not have seen this logo before. This is their version of the Victory logo, which is basically just a screenshot of the V that was like freeze framed before the whole like proper Transformer logo shows up on screen, and they've superimposed the word Transformers on top of it. Lather, rinse, repeat. This is how they treated Headmasters and Master Force. Rather than going by the series name, it's all just Transformers, and there's certain versions of these that even cram in the original theme song and like the original outro and things like that. Weird stuff. Now, it's not just Transformers. Let's get this across right now. They've actually done quite a lot. So let me give you a little bit of a wiki page here. And this is just anime they've worked on. They worked on TV shows and movies as well, but this will just give you an idea. So we've got Doraemon, Dr. Slump, Dragon Ball's in there, Ranma 1/2, Detective Conan, Cardcaptor Sakura, Inuyasha, Sergeant Frog, My Melody, Dot Hack Roots, Pumpkin Scissors, XXX Holic. Like, this is a big name. Like, even Squid Girl. Like, those are not small-time animes. Like, they've done a lot of work on really big properties. You've never heard any of it because Omni Productions was doing English dubs specifically for Asian countries where English is one of the official languages, Hong Kong included, but that also gets you to your Malaysia, your Singapore, places like that. So what you got was questionable in quality. We'll get to that in a bit. In fact, the only thing on here, on this exact list, that you may not have some slight hope of hearing was the English dub that was released, I believe like a VHS release or something back in the day, of Dragon Ball The Magic Begins, which is a very weird, low-budget, live-action adaptation of the original Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z. No, I'm not making this up! I know it looks like a student film. I know it looks AI generated. This is real. This is part of the cover. This is real. It exists. It's out there somewhere. Please go laugh at it at your leisure. That said, one of the places you might have heard Omni Dubs a little bit more easily where a lot of us probably heard Omni Dubs and never even realized it. Heisei Godzilla movies. Those dubs actually, the dubs we got here in the US and into the West actually are Omni production dubs. Might explain why they are so cheesy and bad. I read somewhere that maybe some of the Showa movies were done by Omni as well, but I could not find credits for that, so take that one with a grain of salt. But they definitely have their hands in the Heisei movies, especially like the original releases. But we're not here to go into everything that they did elsewhere. It's a Transformers channel. I'm just doing this for context. Let's actually talk about what they ruined in the original dubbing. So, for starters, expect a lot of characterization taken out. There was no real effort thrown into the actual vocal performance of the characters. So a lot of times you ended up with very flat, very samey performances, and frankly, they seem to have had a very, very small cast, as many characters sound suspiciously similar to each other. But because they were not trained voice actors, and they were clearly not trained voice actors, you know, we don't know most of them, but we know enough to know, like, yeah, these people were not professional. That said, all of these characters that had weird inflections in their voices, completely flat. Dinobots speak completely normally. Blur does not speak rapidly. Wheelie doesn't rhyme. And I know that sounds like a blessing. That might sound like the best thing ever to you. But oh man, does it take so much of the character away. Blur and Wheelie become blank slate characters when you take those little ticks away. Because it's how you remember them. You know, you remember the Dinobots because they go, me, Grimlock, want to munch metal. You know, you remember Blur because he's like the Micro Machines guy, speaking 1,000,000 miles an hour. You remember Wheelie. You might have gotten annoyed by the rhyming, but you remember Wheelie, don't you? That's how you make memorable characters sometimes. Sometimes it's just that little tick. Soundwave, great example. Little vocal change, everyone remembers how Soundwave sounds, right? So you'll rob a lot of characters of their distinction. Also, if you happen to be a character who has a face mask, oh, I'm sorry, you're gonna sound like this. Because all of them have muffled voices as if they are speaking with their hand over their face. Because that apparently made sense to the dubbing actors or the directors, one or the other. It's going to be fun when I go into the edit and find out how audible that was. I have no idea how much was picked up. Weird translations. How about that? I think the most famous thing that they are known for is just really weird translations. So this is the moment from the episode Birth of Double Convoy from Headmaster, where Rodimus Prime returns by reclaiming the Matrix. Okay, so bit of a legendary moment that Rodimus Prime and Optimus Prime coexist and team up. Really cool moment, right? And like the last moment of G1 Optimus Prime, for reals this time. Wink. So, to their credit, they actually did not fall into the trap of like, just because this is Convoy and Rodimus Convoy, they weren't both called Optimus Prime or anything. That said, the dub did change every iteration of Convoy to Optimus Prime. So when the narrator points out that, you know, there are now 2 convoys, yes, the dub for Omni said there are 2 Optimus Primes. Which I think is one of the most hysterical and most famous mistakes they made. Because it's just so dumb and outlandish. Like, no, we did that clone story like back in like G1. I think it was season 2. Season 2, we did the clone story. Yeah, we did this. We did this. There's only 1 convoy. There's only 1 here. But that's the most famous one. Other ones that are noteworthy are the Matrix of Leadership being referred to as the Power Pack. I don't know how you get Matrix of Leadership down into Power Pack, because it was still called the Matrix in the Japanese version. Important to note here, they are basing a lot of the stuff off the Japanese version of the language, of the script and like how things are worded. So they had access to the phrase Matrix. Call it the Power Pack. Likewise, Energon cubes were called power packs. Now that I can actually understand a little bit, but it does kind of diminish the matrix of leadership when you give it the same name as an Enon Cube. So, that's one of the ones that makes me laugh the most. It's like, let's take the most sacred relic in all of Transformers, the matrix of leadership, the vaunted symbol of the Autobots. Power pack. Like it's a battery. Another one of my favorites is our friend Sixshot here, who is defined as his role in the Decepticons as Ninja Consultant. Not Ninja Combatant, Ninja Consultant. He's just the guy you go to when you need to find out about shurikens. So Sixshot gets to keep his name. So, okay, fine. He gets the muffled voice because faceplate. But he is at least Sixshot. This is also Sixshot. I love how it's so... There's so much ambiguity as to who Great Shot actually is as a character. Some Japanese fiction calls him like Sixshot reborn as an Autobot, like converted into an Autobot. Some refer to him as Sixshot's brother or son, depending on what fiction you're following. Weird things like that. But hey, if you were in certain parts of the world and listened to the right dub, there was no ambiguity. It was still Sixshot. This is also Sixshot. When they didn't have an English name for a character, they just kind of took whatever they had lying around that made sense to them. Okay, here's another Six Changer. Well, I guess this is Sixshot too. They're all Sixshot. Everyone with six forms is a Sixshot. R.I.D. Megatron, you're a Sixshot. You know, it really takes away from the character. I mean, it's not like, it's weird. It's bizarre because some characters that were only from Japan actually got to keep their Japanese names. So you had characters like Metal Hawk still being called Metal Hawk. You know, you actually had like some attempt there to retain some sort of like name that makes sense. And then other times you had Minerva being called Nightbeat, because that's the English name for the toy. Likewise, Jinrai got called Optimus Prime, which I can see how you made that mistake, but wow, to go that far off script, it's not even the same name of the character. But I guess that brings us to the infamous part here. So, for the following text, I will be reading from TF Wiki. They are the ones who did all this research and compiled all of this, so I'm not taking any credit for the following section as long as Blaster is on screen. I am just doing this for the sake of brevity because you guys need to know this, and like really, this gets incredible. But yeah, just you know, if you want to know more, go there. So, Blaster is very famously called Billy. Billy in the Omni dub. Likewise, when he becomes twin cast, he becomes Blaster. Makes sense of that. Metroplex is now called Philip. Jazz is Marshall. Blur is Wally. And yes, that really does sound like they're naming it after just people that show up in the English credits, doesn't it? Spike is Sparkle. Like he's a My Little Pony now. Carly is Carrie. Now, with how Japanese language treats, you know, the letter R and the letter L, I can understand that one. Char, you know, the name for cup. Or I guess this in this context is the name of the planet, not the name of Cup himself. Okay, so the planet Char, Jolo, Jollo. You know, like almost like Jello, which, you know, kind of works. I guess that's goo. Goo would be Jello. The battleship mode for Fortress Maximus, Spaceship Bruce. Would you take a trip on Spaceship Bruce? You were other words said before someone gets kicked out of a bar. Hot Rod, even when he is not bearing the Matrix, is still called Rodimus Prime. Oh wait, I'm sorry, no he's not. He's called Rodimus Prime. R-O-A-D, Imus Prime. See, Sound Blaster is now New Sound Blaster, like he's New Coke or something. Raiden is Grimlock. Yeah, they put a Dinobot name on the train combiner. Haha. Jack is Sapo. Browning is BM. I'm just wondering if someone had a really bad... I guess if you think about it, don't think about it. Don't think about it. This is not worth thinking about. But if you think about it, you know, describing something as Browning could specifically describe what that I'm going to end that there. I'm going to end that there. Jean Minakaze is called Mikon. Because I guess that's like because the last name comes first in Japanese, so they tried to adapt Minakaze into as English name and failed horribly. Dash Tacker. Batch Taster. Like he works at a cookie factory or something. Holly is Fix-It. Okay. Okay. You tried to pull an American name and got the wrong Micromaster. Death Sars is Death Sanris. Oh, that sounds fun. Athena is now Sydnea. Sydneya. Sydnea. Which sounds like one of those names, one of those baby names that people make fun of endlessly online. My favorite is Grand Galvatron, who is Unicorn. Remember, Grand Galvatron is what Galvatron planned to turn himself into by combining with Cybertron and becoming a new Unicron. Unicorn. And no, I'm not getting that wrong. Like, I double-checked, I triple-checked the spelling. Unicorn. And there's other ones. There's other weird ones we could go with, you know. Like, a lot of it comes from... there's voice acting from, like, Australia or New Zealand that have accents, so things get pronounced in weird ways, like Cybertron is consistently pronounced Cyberton. Weird little situations like that, which I'll give them credit for. They're working with accents, so, you know, that could just be playing into it. And then, of course, you also have the part where, you know, they actually, you know, shout transform because it's anime. Except instead of just doing transform, even though it's in English in the Japanese version, sometimes they'll translate it to enlarge. And I should point out, this is where the TF Wiki stops. Oh, but this is just where they decided to stop. This could have gone on forever. This could have been a half-hour video, and I could have just told you all the inconsistencies and weird choices they made. You know, we don't even get into how bad the acting is to the point where, you know, everyone is just a flat wooden character. So you might be asking yourself, okay, what happened to it? Since I've never actually heard, you might have never heard the Omni Dub. So whatever happened to it? Well, as it turns out, when Sunbo Productions became Sunbo Entertainment, they bought the rights to that dub. They bought the rights to all the dubs. So for a while, they owned it, and then in the early 2000s, Transformers and Hasbro themselves decided to kind of scoop up everything, so it was all under Hasbro's ownership again. That included Sunbo's rights to Transformers and all the dubs that were produced for it, including the Omni Dub. So right now, the dub solely exists in the vault of Hasbro, where it will never see the light of day. We do have the subtitled versions of, like, Headmasters, Master Force, and Victory now. You can't officially, legally watch those shows through DVDs, and that's fine and well. That's well and good. That's great. That's great. A lot of people ask for the Omni Dubs to be part of them, and there's a few reasons why. Number one, the quality, as we've stated, is atrocious. And while it's funny, it would also probably give a bad look to Transformers, being like, wow, this is what we've been waiting 30-odd years to see. But also because Japanese is a little bit more flowery with its language, the direct dub, because this is a blunt force trauma dub, includes a lot of profanities, which in Japanese cartoons, you can get away with a few, like, damns here and there. But they don't want Optimus Prime swearing in animated form here in America, so Omni Dub does not get to do that. So that's Omni's history with Transformers. That's where it ends. The dubs still exist, but you'll probably never hear Hasbro release them in any way, shape, or form. Funny as it would be. But I thought, I thought it was done there. But as I was researching this video and trying to find all the other things that Omni did, I found out something else that really hurt me. They were the ones behind the English Kamen Rider dubs. The hysterically bad ones. This might be some of the last work they ever did. And if you're a Kamen Rider fan, you've heard these. You've heard little clips and things here and there. I invite you to go look for it. Like search Kamen Rider English on YouTube. They are absolutely hysterical. I would show you a clip. But, no, I can't risk Toei coming after the channel. So I will just invite you to search on YouTube, Kamen Rider Decade English dub. And then when you get to the Shinkenger and Decade crossover sections, brace yourself. So that said, that's Omni. That's the story of Omni Productions. That is the worst way to take in Japanese G1. But that said, I know I've trashed them for the last 20 minutes, but I will give them the benefit of the doubt here. It was obviously a very low budget, very small production studio. They were lucky to get anything Transformers at all. They were clearly working with what they had. And as a YouTuber, I perfectly understand having zero budget and having to do everything you can to actually make your product look as good as possible. Okay, I understand that. I will give them the credit of the fact that the only way a lot of us even know the original G1 Japanese fiction is because of this dub. Hysterically bad as it is, it was getting the point of the stories across. So you actually could follow the fiction, badly acted as it was, and for a lot of us, it's the only exposure that we could get back in the day of those shows. We didn't have fan subs, we certainly didn't have the DVD releases from Shout Factory. No, all we had were these Omni dubs, and it's the only reason a lot of us in the early days of the fandom even knew what these characters were personality-wise. So, yeah. I'm happy they exist because, yeah, I mean, it gave us a window into a side of the Transformer fiction we otherwise would have had to wait, another decade to find out about. But also, it's just hysterical. Go find it. I'm sure there's some clips of it on YouTube somewhere. It's worth a laugh. But there you go. That's your history lesson for the day. And as always, I thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.
You've been waiting a long time, haven't you? But the wait's almost over. You're about to meet the brightest star in the universe. We're going to make an impact.